Thank you. It's right on the hour, I believe.
It's 5:59.
59.
My computer says 59.
Do my,
Yep,
do my
59.
next thing every couple of days.
6. Here we go. All right, on a call to order the North Hurl Water Board on October 14th. Can't believe it's October 2024 at 6 p.m. at the community hall. Adjustment to the agenda. I don't see anybody. Do we have any plans?
We do not.
Okay, so I'm not hearing any. We'll move approval of minutes, September 9th, 2024.
I joined. Does that kick you out?
I didn't get on.
Oh, okay.
I move to approve the minutes, was that time we meet? Second.
Any conversation on them? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. They pass unanimously. Right. Approval of the warrant October 10th, 2024. And it's all yours. You ready for it?
Who's the hard one? All the.
So I can make a motion to approve, 2 warrant payments, in the 21 account. $194,955.18. The large majority there being a bond principal payment of $165,000. And Fund 22 in the amount of $5,637.16.
All second.
Okay, any discussion or questions on any of that? Anything to add? Looking at you, 'cause
No.
she's usually has something to add. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously, thank you. Visitors are looking again, I don't see anybody. Wagner Development Partners, September 2024 memo,
They couldn't be here today, so
and that's fine, we were supposed to let them know, and I dropped the ball on that,
I let him, yeah, I did. I let him know
thank you.
2 weeks ago when the meeting was, but he did draft a memo.
Yep. Yep.
Doing a recap of the expenses, expenses to date, and then the grant reimbursement that has been submitted. We haven't received, but it's been approved, so we just haven't received the money yet.
Thanks. And he gave us this new performance development budget, which came out of the September 18th meeting, which I thought was very productive. And let's see, when were you gonna go over your stuff, Lisa?
I had put it on the bottom, but if you want to move it up.
Yeah, why don't we chat about that and bring it out with this
Okay.
your notes. So where is that? So everybody can get
Further
it.
down, yeah, it's the CR, it's got the grant recap towards the end of the package.
Yeah.
So Andy, Larry, Peter, and I met on the 18th and went through each of the 3 grants and came up with this recap. And it's exactly of how much we're getting from each grant, what the period of performance is, what the match requirements are, which phase the funds can be used for, 1 or 2, and specifically the amounts that are in the grant agreements for each of the phases.
Yep.
So you can see on CRRP, phase 1 and phase 2, how it's divided up between engineering, water line replacement, water line overhead, contingencies, the water tank. And that goes through for each of the 3 grants. NBRC, we have the same information, USDA. A little bit of the USDA is to be determined because we haven't received the grant agreement yet. And we have not received, right, Andy? You didn't hear anything, have you?
No, I have not.
We were
And
hoping
I've
for it
talked-
last
I've
week,
talked to
yeah.
John at least once a week.
Mhm. Yeah,
It might be time to,
Yes,
apply a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, I've reached out to them with no response back.
Oh, nice.
And it's election season, so I suspect that's their.
Yeah,
it's their budget season too.
getting their budget season.
Which is
Yeah,
what he
they're
said.
Probably flooded with stuff going along.
Mhm.
okay. And
And at the end of this is phase one and phase two and what we would spend on each. So what would come out of our reserves, what would come out of the USDA grant, the 500,000, the CRRP grant would be 376, 217. And the bond, which is the step three construction loan, the state revolving loan, would be 773, 573. And we can borrow up to what,
yeah,
940.
940. So that gives us a little cushion to put into that.
So, yeah, so we can swap out that $1 million down below. And actually, chop up the 773 to the 940
940.
if we need to. And, what I learned about this was basically what Lisa went over, the 500,000, you gotta spend it in one.
Right.
The, CRP. Says,
CRRP, yep,
CR
is divided between the two.
that one, you can move that one around fairly fluently. And, so if we need to spend more in phase one, we can go ahead and spend more in phase one. And that is the limiting one, right? We need 20% of that for the total match from the town, which can be made up of reserve funds or bond funds.
Yeah.
So we are way in the green on that. We're gonna have like twice as the amount that we actually need to meet. And then the $1 million one, we talked about that, where that, we could probably transfer some in phase one, but at this point, it looked like there was no need to go down that road and just leave it in phase two. So what I walked away from there with, guys, is if you look at these bottom numbers that Lisa has on page 2 here. You know, we have phase one, which is 1.8 million. Find that, Andy?
No, I was.
Actually, the packet is numbered, so it's page 32 of the packet.
This?
No,
You don't have one.
Here.
All right, well, I have one now, thank
It
you.
was so important I made copies.
you're prepared.
Was your word. So they basically have us looking at 1.8. Now, we know it's gonna be more than 1.8. So like Lisa said, we can go all the way to 940 on the grant. I'm sorry, on the bond. And my thinking is we got it for 0%, 30 years. If they come through with that, we should go ahead and max out the 940 and take it, especially if it's 0%.
It's 0%, yeah.
It's free money. And then if and we're probably gonna need more than 1.8 there anyways.
Yeah.
So you get yourself up towards what you need. If we need a little more, that 1 million down below on phase two, we can move that up there if we want to. Whatever portion, or we can move part of the CRRP up too. I think the key is when we get down to phase two, to sort of spend the least amount possible when we go out to bid for phase two. So I would envision that when we do the bid, we come out with whatever they tell us the approximate number of money that we're gonna have left over down here and meet all the requirements. And let's say it's 2,000 feet. So we do a bid that says it's gonna be a minimum of 2,000 feet up to a maximum of something with X amount of feet past there. X amount of dollars per foot in there after the minimum up to the max, and then we can figure out how to hone in on that exact dollar that we want. Does that
Yeah,
sound?
makes sense, yes.
That's it. So what I'm saying is at 2.4 down there, the total 2.431 for that project there will probably be less.
Yes.
And we can even make it more or less. Cause if you think about it, we need $1 million for the match. Is all we need.
Right.
And it can come from the bond vote or cash.
Yeah.
So if we make that a mill there up top, and now we come down below, my understanding is we don't have to put any more money down there for a match in phase two,
Right.
because the match will just
Already done.
slide through
Yeah.
from 1 to 2. So at that point, we could just literally take the $1 million from the northern border and the 431 from the CRRP, and then take our reserve account and not have to take out that much money. And then in return, use that funds internally for projects that would be a lot cheaper in the future to put more pipe in the ground.
Right. My only, if we reduce the total amount of phase two, I believe the grant money will go down as well. For example, CRRP is based on 20%. So for, 20% of 2 million is a lot more than 20% of 1 million. So I think we've got to pay attention to that.
Well, we get, yeah, so it's 2.03 or something. I mean, not 2.
And the NBRC
4.03.
grant has a time frame. I mean, it runs out in late 2026. So we just need to be aware of those facts.
Right, so it doesn't have to be the 2.431 down there. It has
Right.
to be the this number right here, $4,037,475 is all that it has to be. Correct?
I believe that's right, yes.
Yeah, so we can reduce that down. If need be.
Again, just want to make sure that everybody's aware there's a clock involved for phase two, and we're likely not to meet the final date. However, we can probably get a significant amount of work done before the clock runs out.
Yep.
So,
So, all right, thank you for putting that together.
yeah,
Lisa.
Purchase materials. I would think so.
I asked that question, he said we could.
Yeah.
So,
That's a significant amount of it, it's like 35% of the cost,
so in theory, we could probably purchase some additional stockpile even if it gets there, to that point. But we'll talk about that further
Yeah.
down. Any other questions on, where we're at there? And let's make sure we take his memo and your sheet and sort of put it somewhere so that we can have reference to it in the future.
Okay.
And maybe even like a little package that we can have each board meeting in case we need to reference it or something.
Okay.
Just one copy.
Okay.
IT, management services. How many pages? was it?
42.
I didn't print it out for you.
No, and I didn't, I never know, the library told me point blank, we didn't read it. The select board, most of them had read it all. So I never know what people want and don't want, but that's really why I put that work into the first 2 pages. Let me pull that up. I was so into the grant stuff. I wasn't thinking ahead. So I, working with Frank, I've got a little of the Dunning-Kruger effect going, and I'm experimenting with a ranking line. I thought that was, yeah. So, what I did was I took the proposal that we issued as a town, and I created these tabs, the technical evaluation, proposal requirements and qualifications. And I, created what you see here. So these were literally, you know, in the proposal. Those were the headings of what was required. You know, like letter of transmittal, there were 5 elements, vendor information, 5 elements. You got a point for just responding. I mean, there were things like your address and your phone number and then these other items, there were little blurbs like, tell us, you know, how many employees you have. Tell us if you've ever been cited for non-performance. They got a 5 because they said no, and these 2 didn't respond. So they got zeros. So this was the exercise I went through on all of these tabs. Even though you're the 3rd board I've come to, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person who's done this exercise.
Okay.
So it is somewhat subjective still. It's, yeah. So this is how I came to the final, like, and we can dive into this deeper if you want. This is mostly just to show you how I came to this final ranking.
Clever approach.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't, yeah, I was really struggling with how to present this to 3 different boards and come up with yeah, something that could be consistent. The other, spreadsheet, the one that's probably everybody cares a little bit more about, is the cost.
Well, yeah, because I saw the one that got all the points for its cost, it only got a 3, which was lower than the other.
It's because they were the most expensive. So
Get what you pay for.
yeah, so, and that part of me was like, maybe that should be weighted, because you go through all that information and then you're just given a 3, 4, or 5 for cost. But anyway, that was my first attempt ever at ranking, so that was, so this is, what I came up with to compare costs. And just to show you briefly, the way costs are, this is being slow to catch up. The way we have determined cost in the past, at least how to allocate it across departments, are basically by device. And this will need to be updated as we transition, because the way IT services are being provided has changed somewhat in the 3 years since we started this cybersecurity project, and there's now an element of cost per emails and users that isn't shown here. And one of the other discussions I wanted to have with you, the water department the library brought this up. They're a little frustrated that they're being charged at a higher percentage rate than the water department, when they feel like a lot of the qualifications being reviewed are for water department needs, especially in light of cybersecurity. Because they're like, we're open to the public. We could be 100%. We're going to come on board with this so that the town as a whole can be safer, because we have financial information and you have the utility. And I was kind of like, yeah, that might merit some discussion, like perhaps the water department should be weighted, you know, like.
So why does the library need it?
Well, I mean, if we want, it's best practice. So they do not necessarily, they don't have information they need to protect, but they still have a network that they don't want nefarious acts happening on. So they still need a firewall, and they are part of our network from an email perspective. Microsoft 365 for the town is all one unit. So they still have to be, so the consensus with the select board through this whole process is they need to be a part of this as a town. But reviewing contracts, you know, like you look at Tech Group, or this little thing I put together for you with, you know, for the water, like I did the same thing with the library. Their number one concern was being able to call the help desk for support. That was all they cared about. But you guys have three things that are different, hopes and dreams for IT services. And the cybersecurity protocols, like the tech group. Here I put that under cybersecurity, yes, there's an additional cost. It's an extra $500 a month. The library wouldn't enroll in that, but I would think for the water department, we'd want to. And I don't think it can be broken out by, like, they're gonna be billing us as the town. From a computer standpoint, it doesn't matter anymore that the computer is at 4 different locations. What matters is we're all in one organization and Microsoft 365 with a virtual server, and it's all kind of passing through there. So,
Through the part of the network, you can pay.
yeah, but their thought process was, okay, we want to do what's best for the town, but perhaps because the water board has different stricter needs, their rankings could be weighted somehow. And that, just a discussion to have with you all. So this, bottom line, this is a work in process because we're going to be updating this to show users and emails, and we're going to have a different allocation of devices. Things have changed, but I use this on purpose for, because it's how we're currently being billed. So it's hard to do an apples to apples, like we're currently being billed off of these number of devices, and it's going to change when they come in and we do a whole update of all of our inventory. So for now, this is just to give everybody an estimation of how it's going to break down by department. I would anticipate, based on things I just said, that the water department will be paying probably more than the $600 a month.
So what,
That seems equitable.
It does, yeah.
Okay,
what was the total cost? Is it 36,000 or something? Is that what I said?
so just like, yeah, so there's an annual and there's a monthly breakdown. And
So the 3,000 is actually with this one, not the old one?
yeah, Epic IT is who we're currently using. Tech Group and VC3 are two new proposals.
And they are charging us 30. Epic IT's who we're using, and they're charging us 33.
Well, yeah, currently with Epic IT, we only pay $1,200 a month.
12. Okay.
Yeah, so at Panergy, we were using a company called Panergy. Epic IT bought them, and they had issued us a new contract. And I was kind of like jaw dropping at the price. I went to the select board, and this is what spurred this whole, like, if the price is going to go up that much, we should do a whole
Mhm.
review.
And
So-
are you happy with the current folks? Not,
Was VC3 the largest one that, like in terms of number of employees
Yep.
and scope?
Yep.
I think that's worth something.
Yes, I agree.
and what is the select board looking?
The select board focused primarily on costs, and unfortunately, at the time that I had the review with them, I wasn't aware that with Tech Group, the cost they quoted us did not include cybersecurity training and the extra monthly cost for extra cybersecurity services, basically a superior monitoring. So they would actually be the $255 plus a $500 a month for the cybersecurity plus $250 a month for the training. So they would be more from a monthly basis to actually get that closer to what VC3 is quoting us for services. And VC3 includes their 24/7 response. Tech Group, it's an after-hour build rate. It's like $200 an hour.
So you probably need a motion from us to the select board of
What your recommendations
what
are.
our recommendation. So,
That makes the
gentlemen,
most sense.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I move that we recommend VC3 to the select board.
A second.
Any,
Frank second. Frank second.
I second.
so like one of those game shows, right?
And the library,
Get a little buzzer.
yeah. The library recommended the same thing.
Good.
So,
But they want us to pay their.
well, yeah.
And what's the town office gonna recommend?
So VC3.
All right, so hearing no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you for all that.
Yeah, thank you guys for the feedback and.
I like
input.
your structured decision making. That's
Well,
really. a
Thank
good
you.
way to
I'm
approach it.
learning from great people, but thank you. It was,
makes
it was
so much
fun.
easier for us to see how you
Yeah,
arrived at these things.
yeah,
It's also a good protection.
pretty true, yeah.
Hi, thank you. SOS report, DBT issue. Everybody read that where he was concerned about the, amount of chlorine through what section? It was,
It's south of South End Road. I had a long discussion with Kevin about it the other day. I went up to the plant, we spent about an hour thinking about this. I'm very concerned about the DBT issue, so as is Kevin. We are not the only people experiencing this.
Yeah.
Virtually everybody that's taking their water from the lake, the 131 systems.
Yeah.
Has having problems right now with their DBTs. Because everybody treats, because of surface water, you're going to get disinfection byproducts. And our specific one, Kevin is not a supporter of trying to do any sort of flushing anywhere near our testing because it might not give us the most accurate results. But we do have a slime issue down in the south end due to underuse. So I agreed with them and I wanted to get approval from you guys tonight to go ahead and start that Tuesday.
yeah, you should definitely flush that to
Yeah,
take care of it. That's,
yeah, it's got nothing to do with the DBPs though. It's just, we want to get our residuals the same everywhere.
right.
And conveniently, it's gonna be right before we take our DBP samples. The question remains is what do we do if we don't make it? Because they're not gonna allow us to average anymore.
Well, I think the question is, we go to them and say, hey, everybody's having a problem. What do you suggest? And where I think that we are heading is probably where you think we're heading. After we finish these two projects,
Yeah, because
that will
we'll
be
see.
our next project.
And it ends with E, but it's got more letters.
Yep.
So,
So,
That's-
yeah,
meaning it's gonna have to be addressed at some point, and as the federal government makes those numbers smaller and smaller, there's no way you can't address them.
and
And,
we're all in the same boat.
yeah, and they're almost forcing you to, and we all know what the cheap method is. And then we all know what the very expensive method is. Or maybe don't.
The cheap method, we're pretty well set up to do.
Basically changing from chlorine to chloramine
Yeah.
as a disinfectant.
Which is, it would be nice at some point when we get there, it'd be nice to know how many communities in the state of Vermont to use that. We know Burlington does, South
Champlain
Burlington,
water.
Williston, Essex, all those
And,
places.
and the expensive,
A lot are using it
yeah,
already.
Yeah,
and the expensive solution would be to put some high level filters, right? Is that what you think?
but you have to continue to change the filters.
Right.
You actually have to take that media, I believe, out and put new media in. Grand Isle's doing that. We could always have a conversation. But that's, that would be after we finish this. So regardless, that it's good to chat about that because probably some folks would say, well, the water storage caused this. Well, it's already going on. So it's,
Be curious to see how it adds up. Once we have this system in place and we know how things are going,
yeah.
it may actually be better because that agitation's,
We could help.
Chloramine stronger or different composition than permits the value?
no, it's just instead of just sitting in a tank, it's gonna be, aerated and agitated. And that'll blow up, at least the THFs, which is the hardest, the trihalomethanes. They can be airborne and this new equipment will be taking care of that in our stored water. we have no way of dealing with that in our current scope level.
Right, but the Corps needs would just take care of everything.
Yeah.
And there's no time limit on it. The water is, if you do it today, and I'm making this up because I don't know the answer, but 6 months later, the water still needs the,
There's a few DVPs that continue to degrade or actually increase with time. But it's much less critical. They're, you know, the trihalomethanes and, those are the hard ones.
so that's in the future, so,
So he's got it under the kimono. I think he's doing a good job of planning.
yeah. And valve exercising,
He's doing it.
okay, good. Anything else there? And, anything about the leak today you guys want to talk about under SOS?
No, it was very, very simple.
Yep, just a matter of replacing the carbon steel bolts with stainless steel.
Who did the work today?
Is that? Not sure who that was.
I'm not sure who that was. I didn't
So
see
the
any.
truck didn't have a name on it.
Right.
It
Was it
wasn't the
John?
person I had,
Was it John Bullock?
but it might have been his firm. He was not there.
It wasn't Johnny.
It wasn't John.
No.
He told me he got a call last night
Yeah,
and I can't remember who he said he got a call from, saying it was gonna be today,
yeah,
so.
okay.
All right, thanks, guys. Water credit supervisor report.
Yeah, fiscal year 24, we were down to 3 accounts, $500.51 being delinquent. But with this payment that's due in October, we start the whole disconnect process for fiscal year 25.
And.
We'll see what
Okay,
next week brings.
is there a handful of them or not?
Well, we won't know until payments are due on the 20th. So we won't know till next Monday.
One yet. There you go. Could be somebody that misses it by a day.
Could be.
It happens.
I can vouch for it. That's why I pay the whole thing.
I don't see any place else. I just wanted to bring up, well, before we go too far away from.
SOS.
We had a long talk about the rocks for.
Yes,
That's on it.
Yeah.
Is
that was
it?
it.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'll wait till it comes up then.
All right, so good. So that's it. Board discussion action items, fall, winter work projects. Gentlemen,
It's on the backside, it's on page 15.
Yeah, it's nice. They number them.
Yeah.
This new packet. Yeah, Kevin worked on putting these together, the year long. And the fall winter work projects. Wow.
He has a busy winter lined up.
Yes, he does.
He thinks he can do all of this stuff. A few of these things will also go on to the spring, summer one because they're ongoing. But these are things that he's already allocated time for. He's pretty sure he can get it all done.
now does he still have that roving 12-month?
And the next page, that is page 16.
You know, are these in order of priority? Or is it just this? I can-
Another order, this is calendar,
Okay,
not priority, but in order
okay,
of which they will be done.
gotcha.
So are you looking at this?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that, yeah. Just looking,
It looks like that.
pump,
Yeah, okay.
lid, sludge. Yeah. Okay, so I see all that, but okay, so he has some of the stuff filled in, efficiency test rate per year, drain cell mainline flush. Okay,
Where it doesn't have stuff, just look at the shaded areas, and it'll tell you the month that it happens.
oh, the shaded's when they're done,
Yes,
okay, all right. All right, good. Any thoughts on the southern portion that's getting the slime that should be added in there to check at a certain time or something, needing more flushing?
It's too soon to tell. Starting at the end of next year, everything's gonna change down there.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
And I have a question on the work project schedule. So are these things that are these generally annual maintenance items or are these now? other,
Well, the ones that are shaded all the way across happen every month. The ones you go down that have a lighter shading on them, they're shaded in the months that they're performed.
okay, so comparing to the schedule, this.
Yeah.
This is just a graphical representation of this.
No, this is above and beyond this. This is regular steps. Some of this is reflected in here. But this is.
That's
way beyond.
specific to this fall and winter.
Correct.
So,
So
so
in terms of budget,
we sort of wanted him to have something like this that he could use as a crutch each year, knowing that at a certain time, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And that's what this represents.
And the order of these was taken off of the order of this, the ones that are both.
yeah, I just want to make sure there's some allowance for anything that requires additional budgetary allowance and projection.
Yep.
Within the current
And
thing worked on now.
yeah, and let's bring that up during the budget, because I'm pretty sure there's a line in there. And a lot of this is time anyways, a lot of it is time stuff. And some of it is stuff that's already been done. All right, anything else there? How many pages? This right here is that, so that's the winter. And that's Brookfield Service Agreement. Here we go again.
Page 17.
So we got the new service agreement for the generator at the water plant, and now if you auto renew, sign up for auto renewal, there's a discount, $10.
I think we don't, so that we can review it
Yeah.
and keep them that we're watching.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Absolutely.
That's,
How much was it last year?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think.
So it's $788 for the major service, $749 if you prepay by November 15th.
Yeah, that's this one. I was just wondering what it
Yeah,
was
last
last
year, I
year.
don't remember.
It sounds like it's in the ball.
Yeah.
I could look it up.
Okay,
Yeah, because we went with program one.
yes, we did.
Then,
Yeah.
too.
So this was not on the warrant because I didn't know how much to
Yeah.
put. So do you want to add this to the warrant? Do you want somebody make a motion to add
Well, yeah, we want to get that prepayment discount.
$749?
Well, we would made a motion by somebody to accept this bid. And in the same motion added as an additional part of the warrant.
Yeah, okay, well, I will move to accept Brookfield's agreement for major service prepaid in the amount of $749. And I would also move that we add that amount to the warrant for the month.
Second.
Any discussion? No, second, you see that? He deferred to you.
Did, I appreciate it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it's unanimous. Okay, thank
So
you.
do we have to generate another paper when we resign that?
Kevin usually signs it. Or do you want to sign it?
No, I mean for the warrant,
For the warrant,
for the warrant amendment.
Oh, we can just add it. We can use the minutes.
Because you made a motion.
Yeah, because you made a motion, so everybody's okay with that. I'll
Yes.
just-
and
I'll attach the minutes to the warrant and
is that paper going around somewhere, the sign? one?
for the warrant.
Oh. All right, okay, we talked about the bidding procedure. And Andy's gonna talk about changes to the policy to accept online bids.
Yeah, and there's a memo in here from Jason Booth, Aldrich and Elliott. I mean, this is basically the way business is done nowadays. Even when I retired from the industry 8 years ago, it was definitely moving in this direction. As opposed to the old days when you had to physically submit a sealed bid. You know, it's, you think about it, just say we have an outfit from New Hampshire that wants to submit a bid, you know. say-
I don't have a problem with
The
that.
problem is, yeah, it's not in accordance with our current procurement procedures. So my proposal or my request is that I go to the select board and ask for a specific exemption for this project. And assuming that it works, all right, I would probably work with them to try to update our procurement procedures for the whole town. Virtually every public works type project in the state, right, that nowadays is done electronically, and there's enough
Yep.
safeguards, you know, with the bids going to the town, the engineer and the state.
Well, I would think, we would, you know, entertain maybe a motion that says we would like that exception to this. And that we encourage the select board to look at their process and update it to, with an electronic
Yeah.
bid process.
The problem is this would be kind of specific to this project. It wouldn't be, in my mind, a generic change to our policy that would.
Right, so let's do two bids then. I mean, two bids. Let's do two motions. Let's do one asking for an exemption, and then let's do another one, to,
Recommend to them.
recommend to the select board that they work on changing, their policy to an electronic bid process. Does that seem?
Yeah, that's perfect. Exactly what I was looking for.
So you're at this time.
Like to make, I want to make a motion to, request from the select board a one-time exemption from the current procurement policy to address the online nature for our improvement projects, phase 1 and 2.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And Andy,
I'll make a motion that we request the select board take a look at our current procurement procedures with the intent of updating them to allow for future online bidding.
A second. I'm not gonna do any more.
you gotta get in there quick.
There was the meeting that I jumped in and I'm not even a member.
Yeah, I've seen a second.
Lisa, I'll be on the agenda for this coming Monday.
Yes,
Yeah. I just made it up.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, okay, good. Water storage tank,
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I, as part of my homework from
Yep.
that September 18th meeting, was supposed to do a recap of the procurement for the different grants.
yes,
So, I mean, the NBRC one is 10 pages.
so.
How do you want to do that?
so-
Do they need to see, does Aldrich and Elliott need
Yeah,
it?
yeah, they, and I can confirm with Wayne, he should be aware of the requirements from all of those entities that are providing us with grants.
Okay, CRP is easy, they said.
Yeah,
But the other two are pretty.
yeah, well, it's especially the USDA, it's very difficult, but there's been emails back and forth between Wayne and the engineer from USDA, so they're being coordinated.
Okay, and what about
I think they were all
NBRC?
set with NBRC, but I'll confirm that.
Okay, so I don't need to,
I don't think you need to do that.
okay, all right.
All right, water storage tank project timeline discussion. So elevated range
The timeline.
timeline,
It's in here. Page
uh,
23.
that
I like these
page,
pages.
I know that they're numbered.
Oh, it's way better.
Is
Is that part of that new?
The online thing we're trying to figure out. Yeah.
I mean, it just automatically does that.
Yeah, maybe Lisa and I.
Say
should-
that.
Yeah.
page 20,
Page 23.
page 23.
Indicated in below.
They're finding typos.
Page,
Yeah.
I see things like that, but.
So, page 23, so this is the timeline, we're up in October. we were hoping for commitment letter from the USDA. Let's, how about we, send a letter to the Congresswoman, soliciting her support, at this point from the, water board.
I mean, it's still, it's only been a couple of weeks, but disappointing that we haven't really gotten any feedback. And again, the local guy, Sean, I mean, he calls me, he stopped by the office last week, and he's doing what he can, but he's dealing with a pretty big bureaucracy down in Washington, so.
So, you dropped them an email. So,
And I called,
can we like draft like just a 2-paragraph nice one? Even for you and Lisa, that says, we'd like to bring this to your attention. We've tried making contact on this date and this date, and we really need help to move this forward before we run out of time with our grants as discussed at the, when was that meeting? Was that in August? So,
Oh, when she came?
yeah.
Yeah, it was August.
And, then, if you can just send it out to everybody to look over. And if there's no response directly back to her, not to
Yeah, right.
everybody, just directly to her, then go ahead and put all our names on it and send it. Does that seem a reasonable? Are you good doing that?
Yeah.
Sending it
so
to,
make sure I put it in and get it on the
okay,
list.
So
And you-
Frank's gonna do it and then send it to me and I'll send it up
and then you.
and get the
you-
responses back.
Yeah, look at it, and, put it in whatever, and all you have to do is just sort of draft it.
I put on
and
the
then
letterhead.
It'll put on the North Huron stuff, send it out, if nobody says anything within, I don't know, 2 days, 1 day, how much time do you need to look? Sometimes I'm in the air for a whole day, but 24 hours, let's just call it 24 hours and then use your judgment. Then she'll send it out. Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. Wetlands, well, it doesn't really take care of that. So that's just the commitment letter. How about the bids? Is there anything preventing us from bidding at this point?
If we do so without the commitment from USDA, assuming they're gonna be part of the process, we do it at our own risk, which I don't think is a huge risk.
So tell me the risk. I thought it was you can't take any funds.
Exactly. So
So
bidding the project doesn't involve taking funds, so I think we'd be safe enough to bid the project. Even if we don't have the grant.
Yeah, because regardless, we gotta keep this
Right.
timeline
And
going, and I'd rather lose the 500 than the
Yeah.
other side.
I don't think, ultimately, I don't believe we're gonna lose that money. It's just, we're dealing with a bureaucracy. The money's there, it's committed to us.
Okay, so then let's back up. Where are we to do the bid?
I think that I tried to get a hold of Wayne today, couldn't get a hold of him probably because of the holiday, but they're very close to being able to advertise it. One thing that had to happen because of the drinking water fund, they had to give the disadvantaged business people a 30-day heads up before we actually advertised.
Okay, which we did that a
Which we
while
did,
ago, right?
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So as soon as that time is up, we can go ahead and advertise for bids. I'm not sure exactly where Wayne is, but I know he's close.
Okay, then, should we make a motion to, approve, as soon as Wayne is ready, that he puts it out to bid?
Advertises for bid.
My one concern would be, does, the USDA, do they have anything that needs to be warned?
There's been coordination between Wayne and Jonathan, the engineer from USDA, there's been emails back and forth, and so Wayne is incorporating all of their requirements into the bid documents, so I think we're good. Good with that.
Like the American Steel and
Yeah, all that,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Make sure, as long as that's in there,
The way the or equal language is phrased, and
Correct.
stuff like that, yeah.
that being the case, I would make a motion that we approve that bids to go out as soon as the TBD date is filled out in these. And let's get that to bid,
The TBD date,
to be determined
on the,
On the advertising.
on the advertising.
on the advertising.
Yeah, it just says date to be determined, so
Oh, okay. All right, but not to wait for the
to
USDA.
not to wait, but as soon as,
But the wait, there's 1 week it's left on the.
as soon as it's ready to go, we
I
know
think,
that date in,
yeah,
that's the
More or
date,
less, yeah.
is my motion.
I'll second.
Did you catch on that?
I think so, yeah, I did.
I always have to look over.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, thanks for clarifying, because I thought he meant DBE, like when that 30-day window was open, so,
Oh, no,
Yeah.
the to be determined date.
yeah.
As soon as they can fill that in, when the documents are ready, my motion is that it go out.
Yes,
Now,
I second.
now who seconded it? You
I
seconded
did.
it, okay. Any more discussion on that?
Any more acronyms?
I'm just wondering if you can repeat all that back once. But all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Aye, and you're good with wording?
Yeah, I've
So
got
the-
my AI companion on Zoom,
Yeah.
she or he,
There.
So,
it takes care of it for me.
excellent.
They, them.
They,
All right, wetland permit app.
Yeah, that has been applied for, and I forget the exact terminology with the state. It's basically been conditionally approved pending getting through the 30-day public comment period. It was approved on September 19th, so I think the 30 days is up this Saturday.
Okay, good. So,
We should be good. Yeah, we should be good.
all right, DRB permit discussion action.
Yeah, I talked to Jim this afternoon. And kind of give you, I mean, he had the hearing last Thursday. One of the members of the DRB had some concerns, but at the end of the day, they went into deliberative session. Haven't heard the results yet. They've actually got, what, 45 days?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's where that stands.
Yeah, Jim gave me a brief too. He thought it went fairly well and didn't see
Right, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
big.
I actually ended up listening to the audio.
So.
Yeah.
And you were there, right?
No, I screwed up. I was planning to be there and I had the wrong time on my calendar, so.
Oh, I thought you zoomed in or something.
No,
Or you wrote down.
yeah.
So anyways, Jim thought it went well. There was just a couple things, nothing came up about the fence. They did chat about screening till it was
Trees, yeah.
pointed out to him that usually you don't want large trees in the future with roots growing around pipes and that pretty much went away.
Yeah.
So that should be good. One thing that sort of brought up, that I'd like to put on the agenda for next time around to talk about is, color or, color/wording on the tank.
Yeah,
Do we want something there? So
we'll have to have an insignia of some type.
Yeah.
As far as color, I think it's gonna be the dark blue. I think that's an option.
So we
We
can,
don't use the town names much for VFR navigation anymore, so.
there you go. So, but anyways, and that was actually brought up at the DRB, what color it was gonna be, and Jim said blue. He just didn't know what kind
No, I,
of. So we'll put that on and let's have that conversation. There might be options. Paint's paint.
I have to look at it every day from my house, blue's fine with me.
We're thinking about selling naming
should
rights
have
to
a
it, like.
art mural.
oh, hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that one that was down along
What is
Route 3 in Boston, you know, with the paint drum.
So, all right. Created Yes. Step 3, construction loan application. Uh, so Lisa. Where are we at, with that?
Yeah, Jason put it all together
Yeah.
and I made some corrections to it and updated it with, it still had Rob's information. We added Frank and,
Mhm.
yeah, it's ready to approve and sign.
Okay, so I think we need, Carl to sign that.
And there's a place for Andy. Yeah, Harry's name was on it. I took Harry's off and
Yeah,
so,
it's gonna be a select board to,
so on the next
Sorry.
select board agenda, if you guys approve it, ready to go.
so, so we got that one and the North Carolina Water DPE, help me out with that one.
That's the letter that goes with it
Oh, that's the letter of those.
that we've already talked about.
Okay, so, a motion to, approve and ask the select board to sign off on the borrowing.
So move.
Well, I can't make the.
Oh.
Well,
All right, I move that we, approve the application and forward it to the, select board for their final approval.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. You
Mhm.
good with that? Got everything you
Yep.
need?
Got it. I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Yep.
Correct. US Route 2 water line replacement. All right. My feeling is, let's see. When we sent out that, solicitation for engineers, I'm under the impression that we accepted,
Aldrich and Elliott for
Yeah.
engineering on the water line.
for phase 2.
Yes, correct.
So we should get them to start that, ASAP.
Yeah, as soon as they get over the storage tank hump, they should go right onto the, water line.
The storage. no-
Well, I mean, they've had engineers committed to that. I'm just saying we asked them to go immediately onto the water line.
Well, we need them to start doing,
I'm talking from a design standpoint, obviously not waiting till the end of construction. But the sooner the better, obviously.
yeah, I'm thinking like next weekend.
Well, I don't know that that fits into their,
But, well, we just had a conversation where you said you don't see how we're gonna have the time to, finish. So if we're not,
yeah, no,
we need to have either they are capable of doing the project or we go find somebody that's capable of doing the project is how I look at it.
yeah,
Am I wrong there?
Well,
We
we passed the
can't,
smell test on the qualifications, availability and everything before when we approved them. And it was my presumption that once this, the advertisement for bids went out, they'd get onto
they
it.
should be, that was my thought too, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't talked to Wayne for a month or more on that.
Yeah.
He's aware we wanna get going ASAP on the water lines.
so
So I think we just, and maybe you wanna, get in touch with Wayne on that.
I can, and keep in mind, Wayne retires
Yeah,
in,
end of the year.
2 months.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really important to get this going
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
And, we should probably put like a team together for phase 2 to get it going. And I'm happy to be part of that team. And Brian, if you were involved heavily last time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll help work on that. If you'll call Wayne, I'll take care of some other stuff.
Well, meaning that, there needs to be, probably a couple of meetings with them over there. Phone type stuff of what we want to do and explore. We've been all over the place, so we have engineering done for the other side of the road.
Yep.
Which there should be a conversation, okay, tell us how much more expensive is it gonna be if we do that versus we do more engineering now. And the other side, is the engineering gonna offset any of that? you know, that's.
Right, well, we should get them to meet with us and bring all the documentation from the previous stuff. I mean, they did probes for ledge test and all that sort of stuff. And much of that can be applied to what we want to do.
Yeah. And then we talked about of looking at laying the pipe on top. I think that was your idea or one of you guys' idea. I bounced it off Wayne and he wasn't very, he was less than lukewarm.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah,
the problem,
it doesn't sound like it's gonna happen.
yeah, it's more of like, well, think about it. You operate a backhoe. How long would it take you to dig that trench versus if you didn't have to be gingerly?
We're gonna wind up tearing the old pipe out. We're gonna need the room to put the sand in that was never put in the first place. And we're gonna wind up doing it pretty much like we did when we replaced 220
Right.
feet last year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be shut it down. We're gonna do a day's work. We're gonna crank it up again.
Well, and that's, yes, and I think we can look down through there because there's very few people
Right,
that you would cause harm to
yeah, and then I think most of them,
consistently.
most of the people that are there are summertime residents only, aren't they?
That's the thing, is
Yeah.
it would have to happen this time of year.
Yeah,
So,
And I would think we should be able to get started on it because the engineering is gonna be minimal for this. Because it's more a matter of logistics than engineering.
all right, so with permission of the board, and myself and Brian pursue the phase 2 engineering.
Maybe.
Well, I know since I just want to know if there's going to be a contract for Aldridge and Elliott to do this next phase of,
yes, there will be,
okay,
yes.
I know the granting will want that.
Yep.
Just,
Oh my.
yeah, so, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we've selected them and now this is where we're headed. now.
Pursuant to that, we'll need a contract.
And we're gonna work next week.
Well, you know what I
But,
mean.
yeah, I
The-
do.
The thing is, we can't talk about, we're gonna run out of time and then not move the ball forward and then kick it another month and then kick it another month. We've gotta move the ball.
So how are we gonna go about scheduling a meeting with them?
I'll call him tomorrow,
Okay, let me know when the meeting.
okay? And, I'll check with some times that he has and then check with some times that you have. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure to mention to them to bring their preliminary, the stuff from their earlier engineering stuff
Well,
with them,
I
at least in their head.
I think the first probably meeting will be a Zoom type thing.
Yeah.
Just to lay down the basics and have that conversation, because any idea what the, Brian or Andy, what the engineering cost last time on the other side?
It wasn't much. It was-
Well, typically in his budget proposal is 20% of the total project, so
Right.
it was, so it would have been about 400,000.
So it's a $40,000 bill.
No,
Oh, on this?
on the water line, what, we were looking at a budget of about $2 million. And isn't there, and for their preliminary estimates, don't they use a number, is
Yeah,
it
they-
20% for
So
engineering?
the state has this ridiculous
Yeah,
amount, but
right.
I've had conversations with them that I think is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's 23%.
Yeah.
It's the maximum. And they always, the engineering companies, who probably elect and put those people in there, like the 23%. So you gotta plan on 20% of the project.
Well, we may be able to talk to them and say, well, a lot of this is gonna be from your
Yeah.
previously paid work. So how do we apply that to the percentage?
That's the number they use when they put their preliminary estimates together. As we work with them and get into the details, we can refine that. Yeah, just for example, when we did the filter project a few years ago, they started off at 23%, they ended up at 10 or something.
Right, yeah, it was much less.
Yeah,
That's because we did everything.
well, we did a lot, yeah.
All right, okay, so unless there's an objection, I'm gonna, me and Brian are gonna start that one.
Yep.
You good? All right, um. So that was engineering. Water line replacement, okay, discussion disbursement requirements for grant funding. So sort of a recap, the quarterly reporting.
Yeah.
I guess that's what, is that a special one or?
Yeah,
that
I can
first?
comment on that. We have to submit a report every quarter. And so for the quarter ending September 30th, we have until the end of October to submit it. We did submit the quarterly report. What I didn't realize is, there's an annual report, annual financial report that's done. And I was thinking, well, the end of the year, we submit that. Well, it turns out September 30th was the end of the fiscal year. So we still owe them, I don't know if you saw that email,
I
correct?
did not.
Okay, well, I'll forward it to you. I mean,
I
we've got till
probably
the end of the
got it.
month.
I've
It's,
been a little disconnected the last 2 days, so.
yeah, okay. that's
So
fine.
their fiscal year ended on.
On September 30th.
Gotcha.
And they gave us a sample, which I was able to look at, and then they gave us a link to the actual form, which I couldn't get to on my computer. I think it's gonna be pretty straightforward. But
Okay.
we need to, so I'll schedule some time to come into the office either this week or next.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's Talk it out.
And then, to keep the board in the loop, forward that quarterly report to, everybody to look at, so we know what's going on and that it's being taken care of. Congressional direct spending, the USDA grant, I guess we've, pretty much chatted about that it's out of the state, it's in the Fed's hand, and we are drafting a letter asking, for help.
Right.
CRRP grant reimbursement update. So is that what our company gave us,
Yeah,
For the
for the
20
amount, yep,
23,000 or something?
yeah, 27.
27?
Yep, it's been submitted, we're just waiting on 27, 421, 25.
And it's been approved, right?
It's been approved, we're
You're
just
waiting.
waiting for the funds to come in, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Questions on that? So that seems to be
Way to get the process started.
unauthorized water service connections update. That was a,
Yeah,
One to talk about.
yeah. So we've looked at what's available for locks
Yep.
for. Kevin figures there's a maximum of maybe 15 that might never be employed. The locks that are available for these would work fine if all of our curb stop boxes were this far off the ground. But they're not. A lot of them are just about at grade. He doesn't see a practical way to use those locks. Because what happens if you need to turn on the water and there's snow on the ground? You're never gonna be able to get to it. The other question was, is it cheaper to buy these locks, which were quite a bit of money, like, almost $2,000 to buy that many, versus the potential loss of water? Is it worth spending $2,000 if somebody might steal water that costs us $60 to make?
well, depends how many of them. And if one is doing it and others hear about it, then, we sort of got a fiduciary responsibility at that point to try to stop that. But I hear that. I thought there was another type of lock that they used in the past.
Yeah, well, it won't work on us. So yeah, it is it's a burning question, and what do you do about it? And I thought we were protected enough by our policy that we put in the town report every year that this is a crime and we will prosecute. That should be deterrent enough.
But he's saying there's 15 possible places.
That was just a rough. He said there might be at the very most that many places that we could even think about it ever being an issue. And so the maximum number of these we'd have to buy would be a couple $1,000s worth, but the fact of the matter is they're not really usable, and what my suggestion is we buy 3 of them. And if we have one that we think's a problem, let's try it.
So how about we do this? Bring literature. So that literature, a brochure to show the board next time around, and we can vote on if we want to go that way or not, or.
I suppose we could find something like that. I mean, right now, all I've done is held the sample in my hand.
So what, so then why does it have to be up high versus down low?
Because the way it works is it goes underneath the screw cap that protects you from accessing the valve. And if the screw cap's only this far off the ground, there isn't room for the lock. And if there is room for the lock, I think it would have to be the combination ones, and we're not gonna keep a bunch of keys around and who's got the key, you know? They would have to be a combination lock. Are they even gonna function if they're underneath snow and stuff? Because they're not designed to be under, they can be out in the weather, but they can't be like very nice. So, and then all joking aside, if you really wanna turn it on, you just go 2 seconds with an electric sawzall and you're on. I mean, they're only gonna keep honest people honest. My feeling is having a policy that it's against the law should keep honest people honest.
So how much to buy a couple, 3 of these?
They're $170 each.
Or why don't we buy 3 of them?
That was what I was gonna suggest.
Yeah. Let's buy 3 of them, and
Maybe you could want it in next week so we could physically see it.
Yeah. Right. Got it.
motion.
Sean Hill.
Buy
Do
3
you need a motion?
To buy 3, I make a motion that we buy 3.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you, Brian. Anything else on that? Is that closed out at this point?
For now, until we,
Okay.
we'll look at the lots next time and decide if we made a wise purchase.
There you go. All
What
right,
are we gonna use for a combination on them?
combination on
Have his phone number.
it.
I mean,
We'll put one on Andy's and start there and see how it works. All right, financial report, Frank.
So as we talked about last meeting, we've been doing a 1-month roll on maturing CDs. And so that means they're happening more often. Since we last met, there was a 50 basis point reduction in Fed funds rate by the Fed. Remains to be seen how aggressive they'll be going forward, but at this point, my recommendation is to continue to roll for 1 month, at least for now, see how things go. I'm not sure if another cut is in the offing or not, or if they'll wait, but either way, we'll recommend the path we're on. We have a few coming up very soon. Tomorrow, Thursday, and then in November. So. You have anything you
I'll
want to
make a
add?
motion to continue with 1 month roll.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that. Budget 25-26.
So I sent out a budget to everybody yesterday. Apologies that you didn't get it sooner. There were a couple of proposed adjustments after I sent it. And one of which was under distribution expense.
Hold on, let me catch up with you. I thought I made copies.
It's
Do you have a
on-
page
There's
number?
no page.
Yeah.
Number was, there we go.
We're already running on the page.
All right, Motors.
Okay, so under distribution expense, there was an original thought about this including $60,000 for replacement of up to 500 feet of main. The current thought is that we would not get to that project while we've got the other 2 large projects going on. So since you saw your version, I took $50,000 out of that and left that line at 20,000.
Okay,
Which would give us enough if we had to replace 100 feet.
The other question was under accounting, the accounting line and general expenses, there was a $16,000 budget allocation originally, and the thought there was that there was the amount for the regular audit, but then associated with the grants, there's a requirement for audits to prove that you haven't absconded with the funds. But that, there's additional information that Lisa gave me that any year you spend $500,000 of federal money, you need to do one of these separate audits. So we thought we wouldn't be needing one until
$750.
$750, excuse me.
750.
750.
And that's townwide,
The break-
not just-
Townwide, yeah,
Not just water.
not just
department.
water, yeah.
And so if we thought that, we thought we wouldn't need it if it was just kind of at the end of all the projects, but it looks like we may have a couple periods of next year and the year after, where we'd have to conduct those separate audits.
So
And so,
you leaving the
yeah, I
60.
think leave it there for this year, but we're thinking about it, but that looks like it should remain.
Okay.
Are there any questions on anything that was sent in the package originally?
And you have a, you want to talk about the increase? You have a 3.5% increase
That's right.
in
So,
fees.
kind of a COLA approach to increase fees. Obviously, inflation is impacting other fees and costs that are absorbed by the department. And it seemed like a reasonable increase.
So we're talking about a 3.5 rate increase
Yeah.
for 25.
What is
26.
the rate right now? Do you know?
920 and 670.
920 and 670, so 3.5 and 920 is. Yeah. So it comes out to, yeah. Okay, we got,
Yeah. So it's probably rounded off to 950.
950 and 700. Well,
well,
3.5 would be less.
but,
of
well,
670.
3.5 is also in his budget numbers, so we have to change those. I would say just keep it at the 3.5. Well, you're right.
Just
We
which
don't want to pay 950,
327.
right?
Yeah. So let's just call it a roughly 3.5% increase.
So let's,
So it's a $23 increase for the 670 rate. So you want to round up?
It-
6 or 5,
so it's 23,
23.45.
okay, and that brings it up to what, 693? Yeah, 6, and 920 goes to
950.
950. All right,
Should we vote on that now?
that's,
And then that will kick in next July 1st,
that would kick in,
for the next fiscal year, right?
let's see, July, or, yeah,
2025.
2025. So, you want to make a motion on that?
I'd make a motion to increase the water fees. From 670 to 693 seasonal, and from 920 to 950. Full time,
Which is,
approximately 23%. 3.5%.
Great.
yeah, I was like, wow,
Yeah, I'll second that.
where did I?
Because I had
My math
23,
is-
35 written right here, I'm looking at the numbers.
All right, and we got a second on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now the budget, did you get to look this over? Do you have concerns or?
I looked at it quickly. I don't- Frank and I have talked about it.
And for presentation, let's have the conversation, when you're putting that together to put it in the, town report, that we have the, operating budget, and then we have the non-budgeted items down below.
Okay.
If we're good with it, we should make a motion to accept this budget. With the ability to. Tweak small parts of it by Frank and Lisa, so we don't have to come back. They find, FICA's out or something else.
I make a motion to approve the, this proposed budget.
And to allow Frank and Lisa to tweak if necessary.
Yeah, does that even have to be, because we always have that.
But just as long as we get it in writing.
Yeah.
In the past, you
From the
said up to
motion.
like,
Okay.
Rob has the authority up
You
to like
did.
$4,000 or.
I make a motion to, approve this budget with allowing them the ability to tweak it as necessary.
I will second.
All right, more conversation, more tweaking. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Tweaking is the word, working is not.
I'm just looking to prevent having to go back to it again. All right. Thank you. I know you put a lot of time into that, Frank and Lisa. I know you did too.
It's obvious that he did some deep thinking. I like the notes too, but that's.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, dinner for Rob's plaque presentation. So that was a holder that we were talking about getting together and having a dinner, sort of celebrating all the hard work that the ladies had done. And at the same time to reward Rob for his couple decades of work over here. Unfortunately, I think we've run out of time to be able to do it in the fall. I'm headed south. Jim is just getting back from checking his property after the hurricane down there tonight.
But more importantly, we wanted local business to go to when we wanted to be open.
So, and right, it's getting more difficult, how many days the businesses are open. So I would like to still do that. And have you tag the April agenda to bring that up and try to do it in May or June and I know I'm kicking the ball. I don't like kicking
We
the
can
ball.
celebrate all the work that happens in the spring,
Yeah.
honestly.
The truth of the matter is, the year gets pretty thin right around now.
It does,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
So are we good with that to try to do that? Okay. And assigned draft annual report. I thought we had a conversation on that.
We already did, I'm doing.
Yeah, you're good. You
I
wanna
brought-
tweak that a little?
I brought a draft with me today. I'm gonna stick with the same overall format.
Yeah.
We have to keep it down to one page. But as I go through it, obviously, I'm gonna need from this, and I'll text you. Current numbers of connections and all that stuff. I already talked to Kevin about our gallons and all that sort of stuff. I do want to talk about, what we're gonna do about distribution repair, because I'll talk over with Kevin and get what we figure happened that year down on paper
Yes.
and get it in the draft. The water quality is gonna be pretty much the same.
Yep.
I would like to leave in water conservation and education section.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
The forward-looking needs is the big one. is gonna change and what do we wanna report? Because where are we gonna be at when this comes out?
Well, remember the town, and we have some leeway there, but the town report is supposed to be talking about stuff that happened up till July.
Well, then we could leave forward-looking things out.
Or we could add a little note that says, future plans of, you know, the water storage and,
Main replacement.
main replacement is underway and, you know, additional information will be provided to the community as we move forward,
Right.
something like that.
We had that a pretty good chunk last year because we were looking to sell a bond issue.
Yeah.
And I'd like to really just
Yeah.
shrink that down quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that in the draft. Cost of water service is gonna change. We're going to go from, 670 to 693, 920 to 950 for the subsequent. Because we've always in the report given what we're going to do for rates for the following year.
So, yeah, and to make it palatable, you could probably say that, I'm just sort of thinking out loud that the annual will go up $30 for the year and the seasonal will go up 23 or something. You don't even have to put the prices.
Okay, the other option would be to not put the numbers in there at all. And just say that there's going to be roughly a 3.5% increase just to cover.
There,
And then they'll see what it is when they get their water bill with our, consumer confidence report. So no numbers.
you're the tweaker. You're the tweaker.
Yeah, I will. tweak.
So when we get the inquiries, we'll go and tweak it.
You should tweak that. And I wasn't gonna thank anyone this year.
Gonna save space.
But that's about it. Is Claire still our liaison?
She is.
Okay.
And maybe mention that, when did Rob leave? Did he maybe mention
March, April.
that, Rob, after serving for a long time in the community, moved on and, has been replaced by, Frank.
And
I don't even mention.
Well, you're right, we just.
I wasn't gonna thank you. I was just gonna say you replaced him.
Yeah.
Do we know exactly how many years Rob served?
We can find that out.
It's on the plaque.
I'd like
Was
to
that
have
for-
that.
But-
number.
Was that for this
It was
time?
like the
or-
whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay,
it went from like the whole range.
excellent. So Lisa can,
Yeah.
All right, while you're giving me numbers, give me
Okay.
that. And I'll bring a draft and we can.
And you're gonna have a hard time getting that all on one page. Yeah, that we, yeah,
Water
they-
department's a big deal.
and a picture. So, we talked, we put some in the past. Maybe a picture of, a likeness of the, water storage.
The same one that you were able to
Oh,
come
on
up
the-
with for the,
Okay, I'll
If
send
you
you
could-
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can.
you
send
can just
me
tack
the-
it on after I send you my.
Yep.
But-
Stone Age.
But make
copy.
sure you put, a likeness or something. 'Cause
There's
if
one on
we-
the website.
If we decide to paint it, pink with white stripes.
We could Photoshop it.
No, but you know,
I'll put likeness only.
all right,
I was gonna suggest we have a photo of Kevin with a shovel down in the ditch. Maybe, I think you're right, that we should go with it.
Exactly.
okay, so you will get that to us. Excellent. SharePoint folder. I'm looking
I gotta go.
for Brian. Did you bring your? There we go. All right. So we have to be online though, right?
Yeah,
And is there an online here to sign up?
yeah. NHT guest.
You bring it?
I'm good.
If Frank uses it.
Okay. All right. So,
Brian, you can.
okay, so I'm already
Don't
on.
do that thing with your finger.
Okay.
You can
first
do-
step,
just ask
tell me
Helen.
how to get to the folder. I know it's in here somewhere. Or what's the
But
name?
where are you starting, Larry? I'm just,
I'm starting with,
the
Lisa.
town, okay.
This is the same SharePoint thing that you've been using.
Yes.
I've got that already. Helen put that up on my little toolbar. So
She
it's
did.
just when I tap on it,
Yeah.
I don't know how to get in.
Does
Oh.
it not let you in?
Yeah,
I think I got it.
Or are you gonna put it on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What does the app look like? Or is there an app?
She's, I was waiting for your prompt so that we
Yeah.
were consistent with whatever your directions were.
Go ahead, cause I can't.
my argument is the second item that's up there. And that's why I shouldn't be using it.
This is the kind of stuff I think about at work. So, I was working on the ranking profile and I was like, a little bit of information can be really dangerous. So typically, I go into my Outlook, I cheat because I have access to,
I thought I created a link.
Did you?
I thought I did.
So we sent you an invite, so
Yeah.
you should have gotten the link in that.
Yeah, I've
that
got
was
my
on
link.
an email, right?
Yeah, let me see if I can send it again.
Is there a password for the network?
Oh,
Yep, it's right behind you.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
you know, I'm sorry, I should have hit share when it popped up, but I moved too quickly.
so let me just email you all this
The link,
or.
Yeah.
Would that work, Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to put it up on the toolbar again.
If it's on your toolbar, it should work.
Well, that's, but I don't have a password.
I thought I did. The news, I just had too many.
I couldn't figure it out.
Says anyone with the link can view, so. Did you get it?
You know what I should have done? My battery's running low. Oh dear. It's gonna shut down.
Yeah, I got it.
There.
No,
Yep, I just got an email.
I got it, yeah. I got one from 709. So much spam.
Yeah. Got it.
So there's gotta be a way to share this. SharePoint start page, but I think that's for the whole organization.
Here.
Yep.
John.
So-
Oh,
Whatever. And quick access.
all right, I got the link.
So it's asking him to log in too.
So the easiest thing to do then would probably be for me to remove you and then add you all back in because it will resend you the link that allows you to create, you shouldn't need a password. But every once in a while it will forget because you guys don't have licenses through the town because they're like $20 a month. You're in there as a guest.
Yeah,
So if you don't access it regularly, it wants you to go back and click on that link. So when you get that, but you probably got the initial link like eons ago.
Yeah.
right.
And have no idea where it is. Are you in, Andy?
Yeah, but I got to the point where now it says more information required. Your organization needs more information to keep your account secure.
That's where I got it.
Yeah, before making changes.
Well,
And if I'm gonna, I'd rather, this is not my primary computer. It's easier to carry around, so
yeah,
Yeah.
there were
I've got a,
updates with
bigger laptop.
Microsoft in October because everybody can try and keep ahead of the, so if you.
I'm a little bit hesitant to do it on this. Will I have to do it all over again on my other computer?
Probably, potentially. I think what is happening, because I've been getting notifications that, on September 23rd, they're gonna be required.
You're not getting it?
No.
Notification.
So,
Okay,
Um,
so I think that's my
yeah, so
biggest
Microsoft Authenticator.
problem is getting into it, not moving around it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, okay.
So.
I don't even know if I have
want-
that.
Well, I don't want board members to have to use Microsoft Authenticator. Employees have to do that, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But I guess if we're giving you access to SharePoint, you have the potential,
yeah.
just like anybody does.
Because I have like 8 Microsoft accounts, so
Well, yeah,
it's easier.
so you have the app, then you go and you type in the. Yeah, it's the security thing.
Yeah, so that's a lot easier than emailing Lisa and saying, so you sending that document?
So, can we just
I know
have,
it's easier for you.
can we have a water board, password? Can we just have one that's good for the 5 of us?
No, because that doesn't meet cybersecurity protocol. The idea is that you know specifically who's accessing your network and when. So there's always like a log. And when you're hacked, the FBI wants that log. It's something that's continuously tracked.
Yeah.
And SharePoint,
So how about you?
well, when we first started this, guests were not required to do the multi-factor authentication. This is a new thing.
Yeah.
So I want to look more into it. I'll be surprised if I can turn it off.
Everything's got it now.
So you're gonna resend us?
I just sent you the invites.
Another one?
Yeah.
But
Or in
the
the meantime, Lisa's-
Microsoft Authenticator, which I don't have on any of my devices.
Yeah.
I have to have it on every one of my devices is. assuming-
No, what that is an app that you install on your phone.
Okay, so.
And then if you went to any device, it would just say, give
Go to
us
your
the
phone.
code
Okay,
on your
all right,
phone.
good idea. All right,
Yeah.
I need to put it on my phone.
You just get the email that
Yeah,
and that's what
Okay.
keeps coming up.
that's what comes up. Unless there's sign-in options here.
Okay, well, I guess I need to at least get
Some
Microsoft Authenticator.
organization you're working with.
So,
Yeah, I get that.
You just sent me a link to it,
Mhm.
and so I can try
Do
using
you
it.
guys have a?
Yeah, and you click on the link, if it's successful, you're probably gonna get what Andy got, where it's gonna say you have to create a
But-
Microsoft Authenticator account, which is an app on your phone.
Which I will not do,
Yeah, so,
so I can't use it.
But once we get through all this, this is what we're gonna see.
yes.
So now you can show us what's there.
See, that looks easy. I mean,
Well-
that's like
Just-
Dropbox, you just click on the file.
Get
Yeah.
into
So
that.
I sent him the invite, but he didn't, it went back and asking him to sign in.
Okay, I will, remove him and re-add him so that he gets a fresh new link.
Okay,
Um,
so you guys, when you sign in, does it, do you have to throw in a password every time?
No.
well, I think for us, it counts our login to our computer
Right.
because,
Very much.
but we're also licensed, so it knows when we log into the computer that we're part of the whole Microsoft 365 domain. And once you're in, it's pretty slick. It all kind of links together. So it knows who we are.
So can you go back to the water board and show him all the
Yeah.
different documents?
I usually don't, but there's the only way I can get all my accounts to work.
Yeah. Is this not what you?
General, I guess go to general. Yeah, so there's the asset management plan, the
Okay.
easement maps. And then they all,
Mhm.
the service line inventory, the water storage tank, everything. I created folders for everything.
Yeah.
The permits.
Excellent.
I mean, then that document you were just asking for today, I mean, that could be in here too, and then if there are any updates, if you make the
Yeah.
updates in SharePoint, they immediately populate out to. Everybody has access to them.
We could put those two in there as drafts or something like that. So. And then we know where it's at.
And this is the whole packet from a meeting in May, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was.
All right, well, yeah, let's see if we can
This is your
refine
pen.
that
Did I steal your pen?
It's okay.
so that it's easier for us to get in there.
Yeah. That's just,
Okay.
it was working. No one showed that.
All right, let's get back to,
Do you want? Somebody gave it to me.
future agenda building. Let's go back to the top, Wagner Development Partners, let's keep them on there. IT Management Services, let's get a, update from Corinne. SOS report, obviously. Next month's a big month.
The big month,
Yep, Okay,
water credit, yep.
board discussion items, let's see, change. An update on the electronic bid process and, request from select board. Would be one.
Yeah.
Water storage tank, I think we keep, the timeline, the wetlands is gone, the DRB, what do I wanna call that, the, follow-up,
The
the
decision,
decision. The construction loan application, update, select board. US2 water line replacement, there'll be update from, Brian and Larry. Discussion of disbursements, I guess we want to sort of keep them in there in some form, the
Okay.
three of them. Unauthorized water service connection, I guess that'll be an update again. Financial report, Frank, we still need the investment structure and, let's call it any, budget update. The draft annual report update. Did we do a motion? To let the select board know that we want a 3.5%
Oh,
increase.
that's right, they have to approve it. It's gonna be a big water board agenda item.
Yeah, so we sort of need to put that in before we leave with the, with Frank stuff.
so he
So,
moved,
so you know what? We did that. We did a motion to
We did,
increase. So we need you to, give that to the select board, our motion.
okay,
That's,
We did all we had to do.
Yeah.
It just needs to be
it's
transferred.
gotta be, yeah, they have to, see it because they're the final authority there.
I got it on my agenda list.
all right.
Right. Anything else?
We have the color and the wording on the tank, you wanted to add that?
Oh, yes.
Got
please.
that one, and we had a lien from years and years and years ago, up this, just last week, which is why I didn't make the agenda, it's like
Mhm.
Friday. That we're gonna present to you, and the house was sold, so the lien was paid.
That's the one on Abnaki Road.
No, that was paid, that's already been paid, it's Jarrah on West View Lane, Westview Lane,
What type of money is,
it was a couple $100.
okay, all right, that sounds good.
It was a repair that had been done years ago.
Yep.
That was
On a private
divided,
lane, yeah.
so.
Okay, so,
But it
yeah,
got paid at the closing.
They got paid,
Okay.
so I'm gonna produce a release of lien and record it, but we'll present it to you after the fact
Okay.
next meeting.
I'm good.
We get a lot of that money we can go spend on millions of dollars of pipe.
All right, Brian, number 12.
I make a motion close to the adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
I wasn't planning.
We'd like to.
There you go.
I